think we are good to go for game number one. So let's hop across, check everything is working. Please do let us know, guys, if anything is sound balance is off here, because again, we're doing the production ourselves, so it's going to be. But hopefully everything's okay as we get into our first game. And who have we got here for game number one?
Looks like we're looking at Frozak. I'm just trying to find a way to make your screen bigger on my screen, if that makes sense. So just able to read a little better with, my old glassed up face. It's going to be a lobby consisting of Frozak, brubba, YLCO, MugSquared, MissBullyz, hyunjinbor, and Bobonspinner, along with Joshy Chan, who's a player I very much feel some kind of synergy with. They started playing League around about the same time I started playing. Been playing TFT since the beginning. They seem to have a play style similar to mine in terms of the way they go about their comps and start their games off. So I'm cheering for Joshy Chan, unbiased casters all the way.
Absolutely. Also, they've let us loose with the spectator today, so we're going to be hopping around like crazy. We're out of control. We can see Joshy Chan is as well. So one thing we do see coming here for Joshy Chan is a 2-star edge roll, but we've also got the temptation of Mirage and Cannoneer as well. Our Mirage for today, what is it going to be? Duelist Dexterity, one of the more popular Mirages.
Exactly.
So we'll see if it ends up being taken as... There we go. We'll see if we can clear some of these things. So the spectator is a little bit wonky at times, but we'll do our best to try and give you guys a clear view.
One thing we're noticing from Joshy Chan here is that opportunity to pick up the early Tristana, one of the somewhat trickier early trainers to get, and just going, you know what, completely staying clear of that one. Just going to stick with stuff like that 2-star Ezreal earlier on. That's just showing straight away, I don't want to be contesting the trainers with probably 3 or 4 other players.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, based on what we saw from Golden Spatula Cup number 2, that was the most popular comp by absolutely miles. The first one comes in. Shimmer Scale Crest. We have known from looking into this a little bit, Shimmer Scales can be extremely good. Picking up the Shimmer Scale Crest is one part of getting to Shimmer Scale 9, which will allow you to, of course, bring out the Crown of Champions, which isn't quite an auto-win, but it's pretty damn close.
It certainly puts you into such a strong position as long as your health bar is in a decent enough position by the point you manage to get there. Not going to see it opted into this time, though.
Very sad. I mean, second win is pretty solid. Let's hop around the place, though. And check out...
Oops, sorry, after you.
Well, I was going to say, I think some couple of people were confused by our title, which is hopefully being corrected on the Riot side of things. So again, this is the Northern Legends Superbrawl Qualifier, which means we've got players just from the north coming in here to try and qualify again. So that's the United Kingdom, Sweden, Norway, Ireland, Iceland, Finland, and Denmark. So a subset of the EMEA region, where only 3 players at the end of these 2 days will qualify through as the Northern Legends team.
A rough start there for Joshy Chan. Hyunjinbor opting into the trainers, which we saw Joshy Chan turning down, getting the early Nomsy out with the level 4. That's 5 units on the board. That beats 3 more times than not. However, a couple of 2-stars being picked up now for Joshy.
All right, I like what we're seeing so far. So let's hop around. We'll end up looking a bit like a regular stream. So we've got Bob. We'll do a quick whip around and see what everyone's got. So Bobon has got themselves just a bunch of 2-stars. We've got Bruiser in for hyunjinbor. And Trainer as well.
Just trying to work out which emblem that is. Is that a warrior emblem that they've picked up?
Oh no, so that's Weak Spot. So that's
Weak Spot.
That's going to enable the trainers and the Corki and the Tristana to punch through armor. That is important because we've seen, as we're seeing here from brubba, in fact, that we have got a fair amount of players who will be playing Cavaliers who stack a ton of armor, in their traits. So if you've got Weak Spot, you can punch through the Cavaliers, where otherwise you may have had much more trouble.
That's exactly what we're going to see Hyunjin doing here. Yet again, those 5 strong units, courtesy of having the early Nomsy, going to rip through the health bar of brubba. And yeah, Weak Spot definitely paying off so far. All
right, so Hyunjin on a decent start. As he said, taking the route most travel by picking up the trainers. Let's keep looking around and see what else we've got going on here. So MissBullyz is also running trainers as well, though she is focusing more towards the Jinx here, which may be wise considering, again, as you said, how contested these Tristanas will be.
And of course, we could see that Jinx just straight out swapped for the Corki later on. So it's a sensible decision. I'm going to be able to slot that Silas in a little bit later as soon as we get maybe even just one round further down the line, spend a little bit of cash, hit up to level 5, get the double bruises out, and you're going to be pretty solid in the early game.
Again, apologies, it looks like our bots are a little out of date as well. So basically, ignore everything that you read below the stream and everything that comes through from the bots because it's all about the previous event that was running here. But it looks like MissBullyz is going to run through into trouble here. So has gone for the Pandora's bench to get optimal items later on. But right now, we're seeing what Brubba can do with those Cavaliers when the weak spot isn't in place.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, Pandora's is great. It's one of my all-time favorite augments ever since augments became a thing. I love to be able to get my hands on pretty much everything I want to. However, this time it's not going to pay off in the early, and this is going to be a loss for MissBullyz. But coming towards the carousel puts her in a decent position coming out. Whereas MugSquared and Hyunjin, yep, they're going to reap the rewards of the win streak. But they're going to get not really the pick of the litter when it comes to these items and champs.
All right, so we'll check up with MugSquared, because we haven't seen them as of yet, and they're currently on a win streak. Joshy Chan down at the bottom from the UK as well, as is MissBullyz. We've got information about some of our players, so not all of them, so do apologise. If any of you guys in the chat know about any of the players which we haven't mentioned as of yet, do let us know. We'll be kind of gathering information as we make our way through this event. But let's go check out the mug.
MugSquared here, going to be popping up towards level 5 at a relatively traditional spot, 2-5, and is, getting themselves towards this early Jade start with the Dragonmancer going too.
I like this setup. It's certainly a very, very popular start. Based off the items, we've kept ourselves pretty open here. This is for Frozak, not for MugSquared at all. My apologies, they must have shifted around underneath us. There we go. So MugSquared, they're one of the ones on the win streak, and they have gone for a cavalcade of strong 2-star units, including our first Mirage player. Remember, it's duelist dexterity, so that Yone is going to do a lot of work.
It is indeed going to build up probably towards Mirage Cavalier here, unless we see some kind of pivot coming out of MugSquared, who at the moment is having a good time, but might be dealt their first loss up against Bobon.
Yeah. Bobon are doing a great job of having an extremely tanky frontline. We've already got the tank items in there, the Warmogs and the Dragon's Claw as well, giving a lot of time for the other units to heal through. And you're right, MugSquared just didn't have the DPS. So Bobonspinner breaks the win streak, leaving Hyunjin as the only person left with a win streak as of the end of stage 2.
Yeah, Nivea just going completely untouched in that fight. And if that continues to happen, that could be great news for Bobon. Meanwhile, getting an opportunity to have a little look at Hyunjin, who, of course, is having a good time things so far. Interesting to see that early chalice being dumped onto the Jinx, going to be powering up Nomsy and the Trist as well. Probably going to see a swap out for a Lulu sooner rather than later.
I like what we've got here so far. A ton of traits in place. Let's see how Squared does up against them here. So we've got a pretty decent front line. We've not got a 3-trainer yet to make Nomsy really hit like a truck. But a decent amount of levels in, and the raw damage is already taking its toll. We'll see a lot more of that as the game goes on.
Yeah, it is just absolutely unstoppable in the early. Nomsy not even powered up to silver level yet, but still going to be able to help put out the DPS. And at the moment, that front line absolutely able to handle whatever is thrown at it. Who will be the first to unthrone Hyunjin?
There's the Lulu. Oh, there we go. So I have put the scores for today into the chat. Unfortunately, again, our bots are a little out of date, so I'll try and do my best to remember to put that in from time to time, so you guys can keep up with what's going on. But yes, back to the game itself. So Hyunjin remains undefeated. 5 rounds in, it's pretty darn solid. You know, as I said, with Lulu coming in, that Nomsy's going to get stronger and stronger, and hopefully for Hyunjin, keep the win streak going.
So one of the things, Peter, which I'd like to touch on, if it's all right with you, is, of course, the fact that it's not just a case of this one game that we're watching today. It's not a winner-takes-all just from one round. We're going to be spreading across multiple rounds in the classic. First gets you 8 points, all the way down to 8, just getting you 1 point. So we kind of need to pay our attention a little bit towards the bottom of the leaderboard as well. Players like Frozak and YLCO, who at the moment look like they're propping up the table. They can have chances later on, but they need to start picking up the pace a little bit to secure some slightly bigger points in these early games. How are they maybe going to accomplish that?
Well, let's check in. So Frozak, the one we accidentally ended up looking at before, they have got themselves a pretty decent setup, but their items aren't really getting them a huge amount of damage out of that comp. We've seen, having a lot of durability is fine, but you need some way to win around. We'll actually have YL and Frozak, both J players, both without really an itemized backline carry at all.
Do you feel like at this point they're basically just waiting on the Volibear with those items they've got on the set placeholder?
Oh boy, I'd love to see it. We did see a little bit of the Legends being played, but I mean, as it is, Jade is just so incredibly common that I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them take the the road again that's most traveled and just
to show you.
Yeah, just eventually pick up the Xiaoyus. It is a bit of a problem having the 2J players in because 2-star Xiaoyu is really where you want to be, and that for one of these players that probably isn't going to happen.
And what we're seeing is they are literally both the players at the bottom of the pile. Well, CO, Frozak going up against each other. A narrow victory for Frozak, who desperately needed it there. And arguably not getting the best here of the deals when it comes towards the augments.
No, unfortunately, we can see here that the Celestial Blessing coming in is fine, but that does require you to actually be doing some damage to be getting some healing, and that's not really happening for Frozak. We'll check in with YL as well. So YL feels like they're in a much better position here because they've got some decent damage items just waiting. I'd love to see something coming in as a placeholder for the Xiaoyu. Doesn't really matter what it is, but just something. Maybe even this Nidalee. Just get those items out there. Get a Giant Slayer. Maybe get, just get anything slammed in. I mean, YL this has at least managed to get past Frozak in terms of loss streak, because we checked with Frozak. Frozak is no longer on a loss streak, while YL is. So I think YL will stay the course for a little while longer, but they're sacrificing a fair chunk of HP for money.
My apologies in advance, Counterfeit, if you've already said this, or if I'm throwing you under the bus if you're not too sure on it. But on Tournament Realm, are we on the live patch, or are we a patch or so behind?
We should be on the live patch, so
okay.
Yes. I mean, I know that not necessarily a huge amount changed as of the last patch, with a lot of the stuff kind of being brought down similarly. It has allowed for a few extra comps to creep in, but we're still pretty much where we'd expect to be, which is Corki, Jade, Mirage, and occasionally Dragons.
Hyunjin there picking up the victory against YL. However, you can see that by that health bar that Hyunjin has now taken a loss, has gone off of the win streak which they were on earlier on. Joshy Chan now breathing down the neck on a win streak of their own.
I can see some people saying there's some problems with the sound. Do let us know if there are particular sound problems, because again, I'm running things myself today, so there's almost certainly going to be some problems in this first game. So if you let us know specifically what's going on, we'll do our best to make sure it's all fixed up. As we do actually get to see YLCO, they have gone and now put in their item carrier. So we've got the duelist Yone in there carrying the Xiaoyu items, which means that while YL, I imagine, may not be wanting to necessarily win these rounds, they're wanting to soften up their losses rather, by getting a couple of killed units in.
That's it. It's one thing to lose and take 4 damage. It's another thing to lose and take, 10 or more. And that's pretty much exactly what we're seeing here. It's just that slight delaying. Yone actually doing a pretty decent job of hanging in there. Don't think they're going to be able to deal with the 2-star, however. And coming towards the carousel, that loss streak is going to continue for YL.
All right. I do like what we're seeing here, though. I think, it's always dancing on the edge of the knife to try and make sure that you keep the loss streak going without getting completely hammered. In Frozak, we saw, I think they're the one who's in the most trouble, because you really can't have the 2 loss streaking players. At least you won't have the 2 loss streaking players for that long. And Frozak lost their loss streak, but now they're actually below YLCO, who is successfully loss streaking. So big problems for Frozak. I don't know if they can recover from this.
I guess that this could have been one of the more important carousels. However, looking towards champions, towards items being picked up, it was very much a good time to be picking up items rather than champions here. Yeah, there was the Corki Desire up for grabs. And of course, Corki has value, but it had a Negatron cloak on it. Long term, that's not going to provide too much for you if you're wanting to build up that very Corki. Can be a nice placeholder, can get you towards what you want in terms of your Rebel, your Cannoneer compositions. However, I don't actually think that carousel has provided a huge amount of extra ammunition for the likes of YL and Frozak.
Well, you asked for it and it happened. Frozak is going down the legend route. Their items aren't incredible for it, but I guess we'll get there eventually. I mean, Frozak needs to turn things around. Joshy Chan has gone down the Mirage route again. Remember that these are duelist Mirages, so that backline Deja is gonna be hitting like a truck, especially with the Giant Slayer, which is of course an excellent item for dealing with a giant like the Volibear.
Much like we saw with the EMEA going untouched earlier, the same will happen with Deja here. Frozak will do a decent chunk of damage to the front line with that Volibear as it transformed, but just not even close to enough to rip through the front line in order to get to the Deja. Deja does all the damage. Joshy Chan continues that win streak.
All right, so I think we have had a few more people coming in. So just again, a reminder, this is the Northern Legends Superbrawl Qualifier Finals. So this is the event that will cut down our players from this particular sort of sub-region into the 3 that will go through to Superbrawl to represent the Northern Legends. So again, please do ignore the stream title. Unfortunately, it looks like a few balls got dropped, so that's still out of date, but we'll hopefully get changed as we go on.
Peter, speaking of balls being dropped, I've got the question here. What do you think about the fact that the Ash is still Dragonmanced here rather than the Volibear? And that's an Ash that's going to be consumed by the EMEA. Except it's not anymore.
Well, I mean, there is something to be said.
It was in the last round.
Yeah, that's a little strange. It feels like Frozak might have got a little dizzy here. Thank you, Pockies, for telling me that I need to bring down Greyheart's mic a bit. Let us know if that's a bit better. Unfortunately, everything happened in a bit of a rush towards the start, so didn't get the sound check we would have probably should have done. Was make sure to do that for day number 2. But yeah, back to your point. I think having the Dragon Monster Ash is maybe just a case of Frozak having so much on their mind right now because they're in a really dire situation.
I think the fact that we saw it placed to a different spot near the end there means that it is probably quite intentional. However, even with the Volibear, even with the Dragonmance Ash, things not looking great for Frozak at the minute. They're very much in danger of going out first unless the wolves are kind to them.
No, you could well be right. I was trying to think of the most generous interpretation. But let's go up to the top and see how Hyunjin is doing. So we saw them before doing some really good work with the trainers. We've got trainer of 3 in right now and a bruiser front line, which of course helps you early on when your Nomsy basically doesn't have any health at all. That bruiser health is significant.
It is still waiting on things like the Siphon and the Corki, if that's the path they're going towards, or maybe even the Sona. Wouldn't be surprised to see that Jin disappearing before too long. An Ida's drop will give them something to think about.
All right, so Hyunjin is building up. We can see Nomsy is pretty close to leveling up again, so that's currently the 2-star Nomsy. Joshy Chan, we saw them before. 6 Mirage so far. So, you know, they're going to be trying to stake their claim as strongly as possible in the Mirage space. Right now, they don't have the 2-star Deja or the 3-star Nunu, but they're probably looking to get those long term. If other people are contesting them, that becomes a lot harder.
We've seen at least one other player who had the Cavaliers out early on. Whether or not they're still running that, I can't quite remember. We can have a little scan through in a moment. But my question is answered as they face off against each other in this round, and that's going to be the 2-star for Brubba.
All right, Brubba. I mean, this is the thing. You know, Cavaliers go into Legends very, very smoothly because of how powerful Nunu is, and, you know, kind of bring more or less the premier Cavalier along with Kekrim, I suppose. Unfortunately, for Joshy Chan, this is exactly what they didn't want to see. So for both of them, it's going to limit their power. But given where we are right now, with Joshy Chan in 3rd and Brubba in 2nd, the fact that they're contesting each other and are still both in the top 3 tells you quite a lot about Mirage.
Hyunjinbor making a resurgence as well, back on a win streak again after having lost out on that one to Joshy Chan. Interesting set of options here available. I believe that we're still looking at Joshy Chan. I would not be at all surprised to see Hallucinate picked up here, given the fact they're running that 6 Mirage.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded it at all either, but they decided to go against it because I think they want to build up more components for Nunu right now. And thank you very much to Fridge Cake Will. Thank you for setting our title correctly. So hopefully that will make things a lot less confusing going forward. For Joshy Chan, though, we've kind of gotten a bit of an odd space where, you know, it looks like we're going to be, maybe would otherwise we wanted to build a Sunfire Cape on Nunu, but we've already got one on our friend Leona.
So we have, indeed, and maybe it's something that will get removed either via magnetic or by changing things up a little bit later on, but for now, that's what they're going to have to stick with. Joshy's still, like you say, doing very, very nicely. Player who I immediately empathized with courtesy of the little notes that we've prepared early on. And by we, I very much mean you, because you're the real brains behind this outfit, as we all know, Peter. And yeah, things looking pretty good. But now having to go up against Shoyu and finding it a little bit trickier to rip through those health bars. Nah, there with the gloves is going to be able to just stay tanky long enough to let Anivia do the damage. This is going to be a close one. That Archangel staff ticks over to 5. The Anivia survives.
All right. Don't talk down yourself, Grey Heart. I'm sorry, I'm too busy trying to fix things on this end to immediately disagree with you. But please, chat, to show Grey Heart some love. I believe. No, I think I'm right in this. This is going to be a first time on the Teamfight Tactics channel, so I know there's a lot of fine people in the chat who'll show you some love and support, get you on your feet here, because there is an awful lot to take in. You know, the whole Rising Legends circuit is a lot, and this is only merely part of it.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I take the good with the bad, and right now, the good is very much Brother, the only one on the win streak, the only one still stuck, 80 hit points or higher. Frozak, on the other hand, dropping down below 15 health now, and just on the brink of elimination before we even get to Dragon.
All right, let's go and see MissBullyz. Is
nicely.
Potentially going to take down, though we have actually got the volley bear. I believe that is now a Dragon monster, because look at the size of that big old bear. He's going to survive this round, so Frozak holding on. I like as well that we've actually got a damage item now on the Anivia. I think this Legend comp is coming together, but it's taken a long time to do so. Perhaps too long.
We're going to keep our eyes peeled towards Frozak, I think, because I do believe that's going to be enough just to help them survive as long as Dragon. I'm going to make that prediction right now, and you never know what will happen once we get past that point. They've got decent economy. They're going to be able to pick up some nice units. They're even taking their Yasuo away. I think this is more a denial than it is an actual strong pickup for themselves in terms of the unit, because there are so many people who are near the top who are going to want that Mirage. But even so, they're probably going to be pretty pleased with themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're ever mad to find a Yasuo at this point in the game. And I think for Frozak, down at the very bottom of the table, they need all the good luck they can get. Given that we have got Dragon Monster being played as part of the comp, I could definitely see it coming in, just because even, as a 1-star with, basically nothing on it. No, never mind, let's forget that noise. It's an incredibly good disruption tool, even at 1-star, but it looks like Frozak is going to prioritize just getting the raw power in. I wouldn't mind at all seeing Frozak getting a little bit more in terms of their friend Volibear, but, I mean, okay, we got the 2 Titan Resolve, we've got the Hextech Gunblade as well, a 2-star Nico coming in, so we've got ourselves a pretty solid setup here against Joshy Chan. I think Frozak might be able to hold on for top 6.
I think there's a good chance they're actually able to dethrone Joshy Chan on this one. Currently second place, the Tempest is going to rage. However, Volibear is looking mighty. Can they get onto this Deja, who is free firing from the back line, starting to rip through the health bars of Titanic Volibear and doing a good job of it, still going untouched. Deja will win the day. There will be 3 units remaining. This will be good damage going down to Frozak. It's not enough to kill them off. They are down to 2 HP.
I think Joshy Chan is very grateful they decided to pick up a Giant Slayer. It's going to be a problem for anybody else who doesn't have one. Let's keep on flipping around. YLCO, just going to check in on them because they are on a win streak right now, and they are deep into Jade with... Wait, what's going on here? Is that a bug? That doesn't seem like that's right.
I'm just doing my maths on units there. I'm going to agree with you. It doesn't feel quite right, but it is, I believe. I think that is the right number of units.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible.
They're not running...
No, they're not running Dragon Horde, but this never happens, but you can run 2 of the same dragon at the same time and not negate the bonus you get for them. It's just not normally worth it, because so much of the dragon power budget is in giving you, say in this case, 3 Jades. If they end up itemizing both Xiaoyus, this would be almost unprecedented.
This is fascinating to watch. It's going up against Shyvana, which in itself has so much damage with that incredible burst that it can do onto the biggest horde of targets. However, it's not even close to enough to take down YLCO, who earlier on in the game was in our bottom 2, has now risen to 4th place on a win streak. The same cannot be said for Frozak, who goes out in 8th place.
And with apologies, got a little distracted with surely one of the strangest things we've seen for quite some time. So we miss Frozak being taken out. We will not miss Bobonspinner if the same happens to them. So they are running Jade. They have got the Shyvana, though. coming in as the kind of dragon of choice. Very much a viable option. As we're seeing a fairly spread formation and a 2-star Shyvana at level 8. Bobonspinner, they've got the tools, but the damage items aren't quite there for Shyvana. She's mostly going to be disruption with a side of damage.
That's it. You say they've got the tools. I'm not entirely convinced that they have. I mean, looking at the items that they've got to sort of mush together on the board there,
Oh, wait.
I'm not sure how they're going to battle back from this 7th position.
Okay. So,
That's how. Interesting.
Yeah, so they've sold up to the EMEA. They're going to go into a full Shyvana carry setup. I think we might even be seeing Bobon trying to go to, well, at least towards the Rage Wing 6 as we go. Because we got a decent amount of Rage Wings, of course, which are unattended and relatively easy to pick up. There's a 6 coming in. This is completely reliant on the Shyvana to do the job, but she has now got the tools to do it.
Well, this is pretty much do or die time coming in for Bobon. They are going to be going up against the Ghost on this round, and it is a pretty mighty one as well, as we can see that double resolve there. This is going to be Shyvana leaping up into the sky. Only the 1 stack so far onto the Seraphs. Going to crush down, find the knock-up, throw out the Flame Spitter, which does severe damage to the Shyvana. It's going to become a battle of the dragons now, however, and it is going to be, first of all, Flames turned onto 1. Now it just becomes a case of which is stronger. And I think I know the answer, and I'm pretty sure it's Siphon. The 2-star ripping through 1 more charge will be enough. That will be Bobonspinner saying goodbye in 7th place.
I admire the fact they found a way to at least put up a fight, but yeah, when it comes to a straight-up fight, you know, Shyvana's always going to lose out to Siphon, and Siphon will generally lose out to Xiaoyu. So we'll keep an eye on how this all plays out, as MissBullyz is playing a comp we haven't talked about so far, which is the Siphon Mage setup here. So, yeah, we've got trainers, we've got whispers, we've got a lot of good stuff, but the most important thing is we've got a multi-threat composition being put together. We've got Corki, we've got Zoe, and we've got Siphon as well. All different ways of winning a round.
MissBullyz, who you're drawing attention to there, alongside MugSquared, are the 2 players next most in danger of going out, Peter. Our other 4 players, our top 4 currently, are separated by 10 HP. So tired at the top of this lobby.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've seen several players doing incredibly well. MugSquared is me pressuring BullyZ is a level below them. You can see, of course, Siphon versus Siphon in a full-on Siphon-off. We saw this so many times in the Golden Spatula Cup, but MissBullyz able to survive through with a few more units, which means MugSquared will get pushed further down the table, along with MissBullyz now in the 20s.
We've seen a lot of contesting. However, MugSquared just about to hit the Platinum Nomsy there, was just the 1 total biscuit away from it when we saw last time, and MissBullyz as well, just hitting the nice noms. In fact, could you just check MugSquared for me? It might have been MissBullyz who I was looking at on the last one. It was indeed, yeah. So MissBullyz who's just hit that Platinum Nomsy, and so now is going to be able to bolster that one up with all their trainers. Meanwhile, the Corki here, almost a little bit neglected in terms of things that are being played around it. It's just an extra damage dealer at the back, not having got Cannoneer or Revel out. It's just going to hope to put out an extra little bit of damage, keeping MugSquared around a little bit longer. They're going to have to work pretty hard against Brubba on this one, though.
All right, we'll see how Brubba does. Again, we've got the Giant Slayers being prioritized, and the Archangels as well, along with the Duelist Dexterity, means that this is a total package here for Deja. MugSquared will fall foul of it, though MissBullyz does win their round against Joshy Chan, pulling them down from the top of the table. hyunjinbor also loses as well. So, Greyheart, we're starting to see the remaining players compress themselves HP-wise into a much closer endgame.
I think that last round was crucial for what we're going to be seeing towards our top 2 at the end, because MissBullyz was able to claw closer to those people who had previously all been separated by 10 HP and are now separated by 7 HP. MugSquared, on the other hand, dropping down to single-digit HP and cannot be happy about that scenario. Big pickup here for Joshy Chan of that last Whisper, going to really help to rip through some of those tankier units.
As we check in with Joshy Chan and see the last Whisper going on to Soraka, we don't have a ton of options which are going to be great for it so far, but this will certainly help keep Joshy Chan towards the top of the table. And of course, something we haven't even mentioned yet here in day 1, we mentioned the whole cutting people in half thing. The important takeaway from that is our players will only need to consistently be hitting top 4 today to make it through to the second day of the Superbrawl qualification. They don't need to win the lobbies, they just need to keep a solid performance up. So if you're healing yourself, you know, from around stage 5 like Joshy Chan is, it's extremely unlikely you bottom 4.
I'm right in saying it is a point reset coming into tomorrow?
Yes, it is. There's a little bit of seeding, but, you know, for the most part, it's a fresh start. As Brubba and Joshy Chan, the two Mirages going at each other. Last time we saw that Brubba came out the victor, I think they will maybe do it again. Yes, they will, but not by much.
Yeah, still close between these two. Brubba still topping up the table. They got their hands on the 2-star Deja just that little bit earlier, and they've been carrying it all the way through a good, significant chunk of wins. Something MugSquared didn't get last time. They drop out in 6th place.
All right, so yes, MugSquared is out of here. MissBullyz is going to hold on. Apologies, yes, for the stream quality, guys. We'll sort that out during one of the breaks. I think I know which setting is a little bit off from before, but...
Oh, that's frustrating for MissBullyz.
Oh my gosh, they've got to make a choice here. I think they've got enough HP to hold on and not give up one of their Dejas, one of their Siphons, up against the triple Xiaoyu composition, but one of them is just fooling.
Yeah, that was the Nico who's managed to drop down a significant chunk of damage. MissBullyz will be hard done by should they lose a significant chunk of health here, having had the opportunity for that 2-star Zoe and deciding to go against it. Instead, however, they're going to pick up the win, giving them the extra gold they need to pick up that Zoe, have the 2-star going into the next round. Wild takes the loss and now is below MissBullyz by 1 HP. 28, 27, 26, 22. That was an extra little chunk of damage at the end.
All right, so let's take a quick whip around and see what people are getting item-wise. We've got the Thornmail for MissBullyz, helping to reinforce the frontline Silas. Pretty nice. We've got the Infinity Edge coming in for YLCO. Isn't ideal because our Siphons are already fully itemized. We've got the Gargoyle Stoneplate for Brubba, which we can see the frontline does need a little bit of reinforcing, so that's great. The Death Blade in here for Joshy Chan, which would be good for an eventual Yasuo. And I believe that takes us all the way around to the beginning.
It does. And going back to MissBullyz, and just one little thing there with the build that I just wanted to see what you thought of, and that's the double static Shiv on the Zoe, which now is also going to be getting that extra bit of AP and mana too.
Yes, honestly, I like to see that, just have an extra bit of cast time. So, bear in mind, of course, we are Mage 3, so getting Zoe to cast as often as possible can make some matchups almost unwinnable. The intervention, the KL ultimate comes down and provides shields to your lowest health units. If you can get a few of those off at the crucial time, you can really mess up other people's comps, particularly if you get in a shield when, for example, a Siphon is about to get a chomp, or perhaps when a Deja is about to throw a big wind blast across your team.
I do want to shout out to something we've just seen MissBullyz do, which resonates with me quite significantly, and that is the classic roll down to 1 goal, desperately trying to find another Siphon to get that 2-star, knowing full well that even if you did, you wouldn't be able to buy it. But it isn't going to matter right now because we have seen the win streak continue for MissBullyz all the way down from 6th place, pulling themselves up to 3rd, only 1 HP behind our leaders now.
And thank you for the chat for noticing when we were too distracted with other stuff. We have got, I think, probably one of the first times I've seen this in competitive to set, the Xiaoyu 3. This is wild considering how many people were going towards J before.
This is going to be absolutely massive for YLCO. The other one who was propping up the bottom of the table early on, along with Frozak, has made a real resurgence, and you'd expect to see them top 2 at the very least now.
All right, looking pretty good for them. I don't think there's anything that can really stand in the way here. We've got hyunjinbor with a 3 Titan Siphon. That is going to hit pretty ridiculously, but as we mentioned before, Siphon, a little bit like Shyvana. Apart from the charge, it's not going to have the world's best single target damage, so I don't see them being able to deal with the Xiaoyu. We'll see. They will eventually come around to face each other, but I think the fight is going to be relatively short.
I'm not entirely convinced, actually, because it can hit like an absolute truck on that single hit, but it's not going to hit like a hard enough truck because Optimus Prime is here in the form of 3-star Xiaoyu, and that's what picks up the victory for YLCO. MissBullyz now topping the table. I am looking forward to the showdown between those two.
All right, there's the 2-star Siphon. We saw the shop being considered before, so now we've got 2-star Zoe, 2-star Siphon, a good start. Joshy Chan and Brubba both down pretty darn low. Greyheart, who would you like to follow potentially to the grave?
Hey, I in a completely unbiased caster move right at the beginning of the game, showed my love for Joshy Chan, so let's see if they can hold on and make that top 4.
All right, let's just check and see. Looks like everything should be fine in terms of the stream. Do let me know if that's not the case, though, guys.
Second,
right.
So, Sorry, I was going to say second game in a row that we're seeing hyunjinbor and this mighty Siphon. It's going to be Deja trying to do the damage, has got the Giant Slayer, but I'm not entirely sure that's going to be enough to rip through the Siphon before we see the big charge, the big damage come out. That's going to be the end of Joshy Chan. Brubba took a loss as well. Both players go out, but it is going to be Joshy Chan who takes more by 1 hit point.
Wow, Brubba's going to be proper salty after that one. Oh my gosh. But hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. They contested each other on the comps. They lived together. They held hands to 4th and 5th. Honestly, that's a lot better than it would tend to be. And now we see the Yasuo saying, hey, I heard there were people playing Mirage comps in this lobby. Why is nobody picking me up?
That is because they did. They lived by the sword, they died by the sword, and now we're down to a final 3. hyunjinbor feels a little bit like the odd one out at the moment, but with the damage that can be put out by that Siphon, maybe, just maybe, they can pick up enough wins to hold out for maybe a 2nd place. I'm pretty confident they cannot beat YLCO's 3-star Shoyu, though.
Yeah, we can see it prepping on the horizon. Just, you know that Doom is coming. MissBullyz is still on their win streak, though. We'll see if they end up going up against a 3-star Xiaoyu, because I'm fascinated to see how that one ends up playing out. They will not. Instead, they will go up against hyunjinbor. This is their real version, not the ghost. So this could spell the end of Hyunjin. 3rd place is not bad at all. MissBullyz is looking very strong.
Big damage coming out of the final spark from Zoe. Corky putting out good damage from the backline. Another final spark rips through, goes double onto Tristana. But right now, it's going to be those Titans Resolves that are doing the work. Siphon ripping through everybody. It's going to be a Siphon versus Siphon showdown. Let's see which of them gets the big hit off first. Nomsy providing a distraction long enough for hyunjinbor to pick up a big win against MissBullyz. YLCO, of course, goes undefeated. The win streak continues.
Oh boy, we can see they're going up against MissBullyz in the next round. This is terrible news for MissBullyz, who had previously been very, very strong before. You know, these are the kind of lobbies you dread as a tournament player coming in. You say, if everything else goes equal, my game plan is good enough to win nearly every game. This is a board that should be winning, in a lot of games. You just don't, you can't ever build for the idea you'll have to be facing a 3-star Xiaoyu.
That's basically it. I mean, I wouldn't say we mocked it. We were amazed by it when we saw the double 2-star out there. And we knew what it could mean. But now that we're seeing it in play, my God, it is a destructive force. It's almost certainly going to be sending MissBullyz away on this particular round. There is going to be the Lulu transformation for just a moment. Knockups coming through. That's nice RNG coming out of the static shift. This is just coming down to a 4v1. But when that one is a Xiaoyu, what on earth can Corky and Zoe do? They're getting bot, left, right, and center. MissBullyz has been able to summon Daisy. It's not going to do a hell of a lot. MissBullyz goes out. hyunjinbor drops down to 7 health, and YLCO is dominant.
Oh my gosh. As I said, in any other lobby, I think MissBullyz would have had it. hyunjinbor, I think, very lucky just to hold on for long enough there because of facing up against MissBullyz before. We've got a lot of items coming in. The Gwynsues for hyunjinbor. The Giant Slayer.
Onto Tristana, I guess.
Yeah, I'd absolutely think that, but I think we're seeing a little bit of an ISO switch up here for YLCO. I think they may be looking to try and optimize as much as possible coming into these final rounds, just to make absolutely sure.
And of course, having that Anivia there on the backline, they're going to be able to pop whatever they want onto that one as well, if that's where those AP items are headed. Right now, things are looking pretty great for YLCO, who's just hit level 9 as well, so they're going to be able to maximize the number of units on the board. I don't see anything stopping them right now, but I wish Hyunjin the best of luck in doing it.
Yeah, I do not rate their chances. I mean, we've got the 2-star bar coming in, Yasuo joining as well. We've got so many items left over to be able to build up the carries again. I think Yasuo will eventually end up being the recipient of them, but there will be no eventually for hyunjinbor because the end times have arrived.
Yeah, there's somewhere out there, Rorschach's holding up a sign that says the end is nigh. You'd expect it to come right here, right now. Yasuo throws out the last breath, damage being put down, but it's Xiaoyu that this story is all about. They are very much so going to be taking this win for YLCO, who picks up a solid 8 points in game number 1.